not sure how many of you guys have fully listened to Limit Demon's View Monster, but if you had, have you had anything stand out to you? Would it include the very first song on the album, Kaleidoscope, and the last one excluding the bonus tracks, with that song being Something Glowing? There's a mention of the Kaleidoscope in Something Glowing, and in fact this song revolves around the Kaleidoscope for the entire length of its playtime. Now, what is a kaleidoscope? Well, kaleidoscope isn't a word on its own, but I assume it is derived from the word kaleidoscope and mixed with the word skull. The word kaleidoscope on its own is described by Oxford Languages as a toy consisting of a tube containing mirrors and pieces of colored glass or paper, whose reflections produce changing patterns that are visible through an eye hole when the tube is rotated. So, in Something Glowing, the kaleidoscope is said to destroy the minds of those who believe it, and also lay at the bottom of the ocean. So, we have something laying at the bottom of the ocean projecting sunlight, well, not necessarily sunlight, but light onto the top, and that supposedly drives people insane. It also mentions more washing up upon the shore. Could this mean light is washing up? I don't find that probable, but I do want you guys to remember when it was stated that it destroyed the minds of those who believed it. Most of the songs on this album involve people being crazy. At first I didn't notice it, but when you go back, you see someone conflicted with amnesia who starts to lose all their memories and romanticize amnesia. This could be because they saw the kaleidoscope and it destroyed their mind. This was hinted to be reversible, however, how the surgery was noted to be successful with the amnesia he was in love with being stripped from his mind. I also thought that the man in stripes and glasses was normal with no significance either until I started reading into some of the things they did during their investigation into this missing person, with the song of course being an ode to Waldo from Where's Waldo. It is noted that during part of their investigation, the investigators stated that we collected his remains in a box of books, and then they stated that they took the books out first, arranged them best to worst, just as a waste of time, and then we put the bones in alphabetically, sealed it up hermetically, and never ever spoke of it again. This is also extremely odd behavior, especially for people who are looking into a disappearance. It also states that there were multiple people involved in this investigation, and none of them found it odd that they were doing this. The most chilling part of the song culminates when they finally state, "But every single night, we see a red and white, bespectacled skeleton in the corner of our eye." This definitely hints that there is some sort of mental evaluation needed for all of these people because it appears to be a shared hallucination amongst them. I believe these people somehow got into contact with the kaleidoscope and it drove them into madness, causing them to believe that things like the child's book Where's Waldo was actually a missing persons case. But that leaves me with another question. What bones were they mentioning? The kaleidoscope may have the effect of turning people into killers, but how much worse can it get? Going forward, we have market land, which involves people attempting to sell other people entire raw fish to eat in soiled pans. Not really much notable because while this could be said to be the kaleidoscope's fault, this could just be a thing that real people do. Gadzooks is interesting because it talks specifically about people dealing with insanity, and the singer repeatedly speaks about how everyone around him is so crazy, while also being nonsensical himself, saying words like loathe, which means to turn something into a loaf of bread, instead of loathe, which means to hate, which also means that he intentionally was momentarily forgetting the word and had to go back and correct himself. Now, this shows that the singer himself was suffering from a mental condition while everyone else is suffering from it way worse. At the end of the song, he starts saying things that he himself doesn't even recognize the meaning of, with that being the repetition of the phrase, odds bodkins. Now, this could be actual gibberish, or this could be a reference to the words odd and body. Maybe they're trying to describe the actual build of the kaleidoscope, which rests at the bottom of the ocean with it having an odd body. Now, that is kind of a stretch, and even if you guys do admit that, please listen to the rest of what I have to say, because it gets really damning later. The next song, Night Fight, sees the singer frustrated, stating, "I'm tired of your mind games," going on to state, "Good sir, no more rock, paper, scissors for me," opting instead to have a knife fight, also describing it as something civilized gentlemen would do. Now, this song describes the entire setup for a knife fight right to the point where it's going to happen, with one person stating that knives are actually dangerous and people could get hurt, which is common sense. But only then, this is the moment where the singer realizes that they could get hurt, stating, "Hurt? I don't want to get hurt." And then they go on to have a lighthearted tickle fight, which is all fun and jokes until the very last set of lyrics in the whole song, which state, "Where's my knife?" Directly after getting talked out of a knife fight, the singer immediately redirects their attention to their knife, concluding the tickle fight. Now, going on to one of my favorite songs on the album, "The Only House That's Not on Fire Yet." I know you guys are going to be like, Neil stated this song had no real meaning and all that, but I think that Neil wanted us to dig deep and find out what it was, and eventually gave up when we asked him to spell it out for us. This song is full of gibberish lyrics, as the whole album has been so far, but in this case, we have a singer who is stuck in a house. Specifically, the only house that's not on fire yet, which is supposedly keeping him as a pet. He speaks as buttons of blue are killing him of deja vu. Why are these buttons specifically blue, and why are they triggering deja vu? It's because this person has seen the kaleidoscope. I know it's getting repetitive, but think about it. This person suffered amnesia like the victim from Amnesia was her name, that's why it's described as deja vu. Even though they have seen it, they forgot about it, and that's why the blue buttons, reminiscent of ocean water, remind him of the kaleidoscope. They also reference a picture of you, killing them with deja vu. This could be a picture they had and had forgotten about it, and that's why they feel that they've seen it before, or it could be a picture of the kaleidoscope, and maybe this person was a photographer prior to the events of the album. The house itself, also being the only one that's not on fire, could be as literal as maybe everyone else is insane and has set their house on fire due to the unreal and harsh effects of viewing the kaleidoscope. Now, we have the ocean, which mentions a storm approaching. I believe that this storm has something to do with the kaleidoscope. There's also mention of monsters that can smell fear, and then ballroom dancing on waves with a mermaid girlfriend. This is not feasible or realistic, which means that it is entirely fabricated. I don't care about anything that was stated about the Little Mermaid. Then, after that comes The Afternoon. The Afternoon is a song with more improbable happenings being described, one of which is an attic that holds a couch propped up on a wall. And when the couch is moved, the attic will lead to the basement. The Afternoon encourages listeners to be adventurous and search for something, but what could mean that this is decisive? Well, shouldn't people not go in search of things specifically because of what they will find lurking below the ocean's surface? Ask for Nothing is a song that doesn't really need mention for this theory, but if you guys would like the song to get its own analysis, I would totally be down for that. Just let me know what you think, because there's a lot to be said about that song. I also excluded a few prior songs just because I didn't think that they really had much relevance to the album either. Well, not the album, but the theory. The machine is very interesting to me, and I've always wondered about the message of the machine, or reason behind it, because it could have had to have been something, right? Well, the machine in my theory could mean a few things. A, this guy's insane and needs to work on this machine. Or B, the machine has greater meaning but the public can't understand what it could possibly be. This could very well be another victim of the kaleidoscope, but there's one set of lyrics that are supposedly speaking from the machine's perspective, which states, "All it knows is he needs it," in reference to the engineer. Could this machine be artificially intelligent or in some way biological like the kaleidoscope can be assumed to be? We know this guy is extremely addicted and obsessed with adding on to this machine, so maybe this could be some sort of destroyed mind, or maybe this machine could actually be able to put a stop to the kaleidoscope. A very interesting track, Bill Watterson, will find its way on a limited album for not the first time, but the second, and funny enough, it would find its way back for a third if you include Live Only Not. I believe this song follows someone who is driven insane by the kaleidoscope and is engaging in stalking and murderous behavior due to it. And finally, the big reveal. Something Glowing. I believe this was strategically placed as the last song in the album because it's the big reveal. There is something in the water driving people insane. It's very far under the water, and it, whatever it is emitting a heartbeat. This creature is projecting light from the bottom of the ocean. Also, this light would have to be brighter than the surface of the sun, which lets off 10 to the 26 power watts. Whatever is going on down there, it would have to be gargantuan and blindingly bright on a planetary scale. I'm sure many of you Lovecraft fans have already thought of this. The kaleidoscope shares a lot of similarity with Cthulhu, one of, if not the most famous Lovecraftian god. What else is affiliated with Cthulhu? Going insane upon visual contact. Now, I know that's a lot to process and hard to believe, but even assuming it's not Cthulhu, it has to be some sort of planetary threat. And the big reveal is that most of the different songs on this album are all accounts of people who have been inflicted with madness by the Kaleidoscope. Don't believe me? Look at all the mentions of the ocean, or some sort of memory issue, or nonsensical occurrences. It all points one towards thing: the creature resting at the bottom of the ocean. The Kaleidoscope. Now, if you don't agree with anything I've said so far, that is completely fine, and I understand, but please, give me your opinion in the comments below, and consider a subscription, as only 1.7 of people who give my videos a watch are subscribed. Thank you all so much, and have a good one.